Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream Park. And there you see our palm trees, 5 of them in a, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5, no, 6. 6 palm trees in a row. And if you live in South Florida, you know we've been dealing with some rainy conditions over the last few days. But we are in the turf, not in the first, but the rest of the day. So we're starting the day with a wet, fast track. And it just kudos to the people that take care of the surfaces because it's been raining pretty good around here.
Yeah, every time it rains, you ask me, did it rain last night here? Since we live in different necks of the woods, and it did rain. It woke me up at 4:30, so it was pouring down pretty heavy.
Yeah, we got sunny skies or partly sunny skies, and it's pretty warm out. So I would think the track will be listed fast if it stays like this over the next hour or two. We'll see how it plays out. But we are in the turf. All the other races are on the turf except for race number 1. These 2-year-olds, and we have the Stronach 5 again, and it's going to be a mandatory payout in the Stronach 5 tomorrow because we're going to go on that summer hiatus with this bet. So tomorrow. Doesn't matter how many you got, it's all going away tomorrow. So mandatory payout in the Stronach 5 with that 12% takeout.
Yeah, and you look at the sequence today, you see those 2 races at Pimlico, 1 here. So race 5 today, post time of 4:03 p.m. And then we wrap things up on the other coast, on the west coast of California with 2 of their races. So a lot of action for an hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 15 minutes, as I mentioned. So whatever happens today, there'll be no, it's going today. So even if you get 3 out of 5 and you're the only one, you're going to get some money in there. Now we can get to our races on Friday afternoon. Of course, first race post 2 p.m. And as I mentioned at the top, this one was originally scheduled for 7.5 on the turf. Now to be run as a sprint distance, 7 furlongs on the wet, fast main track. Got a little bit of wind here. Let's hide this under here. These are maiden special weight 2-year-olds, and we did have some scratches of horses that we were pretty interested to see run on the turf. We're going to have to wait for another day.
Yeah, no fulminate today. We're both alluding to the number 4 out of the Mark Casse barn, which obviously Mark Casse's been on a tear with the 2-year-old races, so they obviously want this one on the turf, and they're going to wait.
Let's see your early pick 5 ticket.
Yeah, what do you think it is? How much?
36 bucks.
As always. So I did have to kind of shuffle this around. I thought the 4 was a key horse to use in here, and I also liked the number 8. So now I'll go to the 3 horses on the inside. Find the number 2, Brady, to be intriguing now, looking at some of the dirt works. This one's an Arundel homebred. So using that one, race 2, I go 2 deep. I use the number 4, Bimini, as well as the number 7, Tis Possible Deer. I'm curious to see. I think you like one of them on top. I bet we disagree. We'll see there in a couple minutes. Race 3, I spread in here. This is another race for 2-year-old. This time fillies going 5 furlongs on the dirt. I use the number 3, Lily's Dancer, and the number 5, No More Dream. They both have some race day edge, as well as the first-time starter out of the Kathleen O'Connell barn, the number 7, Delightful Breeze. Race 4, I just used 2 horses in here. I'm intrigued by the number 5, Morning Colors. I used this horse, I believe, for second, but still have some intrigue. And then wrap things up with 2 horses in race 5. I was torn here between the number 9, Forever Super, the Mark Casse runner, and the number 1, Fishing for Fun for Run Spats, but I did go with Cassie on top there. So $36 play for that early pick 5.
Yeah, we're in pretty much agreement except for maybe a couple of horses in this first race, which was certainly a work in progress. As I mentioned, moving to the main track today. I scratched into the number 3 horse in here, See My Meister. I did have the horses you were alluding to on top of my ticket, but they're not going to run today. And this one wheels back after tracking the pace, and I thought it finished a useful 4th in its 4.5 furlong debut on the main track. Son of Bodemeister. He certainly bred to handle 7 furlongs, and just a previous experience angle for me.
Yeah, race day experience is always an edge, especially in a field like this, and now this one has previous race experience on the dirt, which I think is even a bigger edge. Kelsey Danner, we always talk about, does tremendous work, does quite well with 2-year-olds, and then maiden second time out. Hits the winner's circle at about 16%, so I think there's a lot to like, and this one was a $40,000 purchase at OBS just a few months ago.
Are you a New England Patriots fan?
I am not.
Why'd you put Brady on top?
Well, it has nothing to do with New England. I'm from Buffalo, so I feel like I might
Tampa
get yelled
now.
at.
I take that back. Tampa Bay now.
Yeah, not that. But when you look at Brady, I mean, kind of looking at the workouts, we've always talked about this. What do you do with horses that have a ton of workouts? This one does have a lot of workouts in the mornings. I just thought some of his workouts out of the gate and even 2 workouts back were kind of sharp. So for me, I know the Arundels, and kind of looking at the connections, they only win at 8% with first-time starters, but this is a horse that had been training well and kind of solely on the dirt, so caught my eye.
I used the number 13, Big and Classy, stretching out after running. I thought it just an okay 4th in its 5 furlong debut, but really respect the connections of David Forks, MCL Jaramillo up, and high pockets. I mean, it's a pretty wide open affair here. And I was going to use the 1 a little further up, and I kept going back and forth for, Ken Sweezy with Wilmer Garcia in the saddle today. Not known to get his horses to run first out of the box.
No, 0 for 31 with first-time starters, so not necessarily in first-time turf, also still kind of trying to get off of that as well. But I think when you look at this runner in terms of workouts, I don't mind the most recent work that was on June 12th, so just a couple days ago, 48-2, breezing out of the gate at Palm Meadows. It's a good workout. The barn's been doing well, and intrigued by the pedigree. We haven't seen too many Classic Empires, just 5 starts, 2 of which have been winners, and obviously he had success on the dirt, winning the Arkansas Derby, and then second in the Preakness.
Well, let's go to race number 2, talking about the main track. Again, 1 mile, these are starter optional claimers, fillies and mares 4 and up, started for 8 or less, so the optional tag of $16,000. And boy, yeah, you have Bimini on top. I do have Tis Possible Deer. So tell us about Bimini first.
That last time out, the third place finish was respectable. Lavi and Free to Fly kind of battled it out, and they were clear of the group, and then this one was clear of the rest of the field. That was going 7 furlongs, now stretching out to a mile. I know it seems to tired a little bit, but last time out was trying to chase a pretty quick tempo. Very different from what we saw 2 starts back when this one was able to win at the mile. So I think a big thing is just the distance today.
Well, you look at her record at the mile. She's had 9 previous races with 4 wins in 2 seconds. You mentioned that stalk in third. I did go with Tis Possible Deer, is going to the Victor Barboza Jr. barn after the claim, turning back, turning on the afterburners last time out to defeat those 12-5 state-bred optional claimers at the distance. Won that race by 7.5 furlongs. It's part of our contract. We have to mention first off the claim by Victor Barboza Jr. I think he's up to 33% or around thereabouts.
Yeah, the number is just one of those ones that sticks out. We always talk about week to week because it just stands out on paper. And I think last time out, Edgar Zayas, perfect trip going a mile, was just kind of crushed that field. I will say my horse Bimini did beat this one 3 starts back. But you kind of look at that most recent race and you think the repeat in effort is really within a reach.
Well, number 5, Hartling, as we closed out our try, we basically have the same super, just the first 2 flip-flop, stretching out to her best distance, or most accomplished distance, we'll say, 4 wins from 6 starts. I think it's going to be good for her. She was 4th. She broke slowly in that race behind your top pick in there. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, too, I think the big thing with her is second off the layoff. I know that she had some time off. They tried entering her, and she was scratched. So I just think she's got maybe needed a race under her belt and really can step up.
Let's go to race number 3 this afternoon. These are 5 furlong maiden special weight state-bred fillies, 2-year-olds. Love when we have these 2-year-olds running. We do have a scratch in here at the 4, Uncaptured Faith, and number 5, Noble Dreamer, and number 1 horse. The number 3, Luli's Dancer. We'll go back and show you the last race, and I want you to watch the top of the stretch with Luli's Dancer, who's going to get blinkers today. You're going to see Noble Dreamer going up and taking the lead, but watch Luli's Dancer. You can see this horse is trying to get out, so I think the blinkers are going to help this afternoon on this horse. It's its second start. Has worked a bullet since then with the blinkers on, and you see Noble Dreamer. You think 6-5, but can't hold off Chantal Sutherland demurely. I think they both move forward this afternoon. I was almost going to put Luli's Dancer on top just for the fact I think the blinkers are really going to help.
Yeah, it's a key equipment change, and I was kind of struggling here too. What do you do here? You kind of look at the pedigrees as well. I like Luli's Dancer's pedigree, and the big thing too that caught my eye was the bullet drill on June 11th. But I still went with Noble Dreamer. I just know Safi made a second time out. 24%, and I think this one can move forward from there too. So I really do think, and kind of my ticket structure alluded to that, you got to use both of these horses.
And the intriguing horse that we both put in third, I think, is Delightful Breeze, the daughter of Win Early sire Cajun Breeze, debuting for Kathleen O'Connell. It was a solid 20% thereabout win average with her freshman runners. So Kathleen having a really good summer meet, which she always does. I think this horse, if you're looking for a little bit of a sneak play, maybe you go with the number 7.
And we've seen her first-time starters race well so far this spring and summer, and I think with this one, and kind of comparing to the other ones that we've seen, they don't necessarily have speedy works. I don't think she works them very fast in the morning, so it'll be interesting to see how much this takes play in here. I think this horse you have to use as well. So I loved the top 2 because they have that experience, but I can't leave Kathleen out.
And Kathleen, her home base is no longer there, and that was Gulfstream Park West, so she's working her horses over here now at Gulfstream Park. But Kathleen, excellent horseman. She owns Tampa in the winter, owns us in the summertime, so she does a great job. So with that said, we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we'll have my Rainbow Six ticket. Guess how much that one is?
I don't know. I'm shocked.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Good afternoon, everyone. Ron and Ashley here. We're starting the day with a wet, fast track. We do have some turf racing. Only the first is off. The rest are on the turf this afternoon, including this fourth race, which is about 7.5 furlongs. These are claiming fillies 3-year-olds or fillies and mares 4 and up, non-winners of 2 in life. Great way to start the Rainbow Six with a $500,000 jackpot guarantee, and I got a $48.60 ticket this afternoon. I do have a single, which I'll get to. Got lots of coverage today in this opening leg here, race 4. I think we use similar horses with Morning Colors, Daddy's Joy, but I also use Rosa Star with Edwin Gonzalez. 3 deep in race number 5, again with Forever Super, Octane. I think those were one of the horses you used on your ticket with Lightning Larry in there. I love rest of the story today. I wish there was not a couple of scratches in the wrist. I would have got a better price. I really like this horse. I think this one is sitting on go, so I'm going to single there. Got lots of coverage all the way through. Race number 5, just so you know, that's part of the Stronach 5 sequence this afternoon, 5, 6, and 9. I'm interested to see how you kicked off the 4th race here.
Just when I looked at the field and trying to figure out which direction to go into, I went to the horse on the rail, the number 1, Daddy's Joy, who I think is going to be a short price. You know, we haven't seen this one since mid-April, but was 4th last time out, beaten by 2 lengths. I don't think it was her strongest performance, but you kind of look at her races. She runs a similar race every single time. She's been quite consistent. Before that, she had back-to-back second-place finishes. So we'll see how she can perform off the layoff, but her conditioner knows how to get him ready.
Yeah, and, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how the turf course plays this afternoon. We've been gone for 4 days with live racing, so we had intermittent rain over those days. A couple of days were really a couple of washouts, but we're back on it. The turf course is good, so we're going to see how it plays out. Like you, I had interest in the number 5, Morning Colors, who's now in the Lisa Lewis barn. It's a daughter of midshipman, has been training forwardly. I like the workout pattern in preparation for the first start since coming with the neck of winning at this level and distance during December. Luca Panici, I just think this horse might be the right one. I think the horse is coming in good. You're right with that Daddy's Joy. Hard not to have Safi on top of your ticket. He's solid with that type of layoff, so we'll see how these two run in here. And then number 6, Rosa Star.
Yeah, when I look at Morning Colors, I think the most intriguing thing is you look at those races in New York. They were tough for that level, and then gets that first race here. I know it was under a different conditioner, Christophe Clement, but just missed by a neck while in for the $35,000 tag. Has had some time to regroup, but we know Lisa Lewis, she's doing well, can get these horses prepped off the layoff. So I hope we get 5-1. I don't know about it from there. And then you mentioned the 6, Rosa Star, Edwin Gonzalez going to climb aboard. I think when you look at the most recent races, Edwin's been in the saddle. Last time out was 3rd against that starter allowance competition, and R. Kelly Kim, if I recall right, just kind of sneaked up there late onto the scene. So I think this horse, with all that said, pretty consistent underneath.
Yeah, maybe the slight turn back to the about 7.5 furlong distance will help this one after chasing the pace, as you said, finishing 3rd and 2nd respectively. Edwin Gonzalez, boy, he's been riding in great form. So with that said, we'll go to race number 5. So today we're back on the main track for race number 5. Kicks off our final pick 5 of the afternoon. 5 furlongs. These are maiden special weight, state-bred 2-year-olds. And, you know, another race. This is part of the Stronach 5 sequence. So I personally, and you did too, I think, well, you know, you sort of got to look for a horse that's trained by Mark Cassie when you're dealing with these 2-year-olds. He's 5 for 7 at the meeting so far, 74%.
Yeah, and Edwin, just everything he climbs aboard seems to find itself in the winner's circle for Mark Cassie. You look at the workouts, 2 back. I liked the move on June 3rd. I just think this is a connections angle. This is a son of American Pharaoh. Lot to like here, so I had to go with this horse.
Yeah, really nice workout pattern. Edwin Gonzalez, I think, teaming up with Mark Cassie, I think it's 60%, if I remember looking at that. So a good jock trainer stats there. The number 5, Octane, is where I went in second. It was a gelded son of brethren, debuting for Arundel, and to trainer Carlos David with Embassy El Jaramillo named to handle. It's a half-brother to a local stakes performer called Gatsby. So I went off Gatsby, who run well on the turf here, and I was just curious to see how Carlos David does with brethren. You know, they have a few horses together now, Arundel I'm talking about. So we'll see how that one runs. You did go to the inside horse, Fishing for Fun.
Yeah, the name might sound familiar to another horse that runs Bats Trains that I like really well. We saw that one break its maiden earlier this year and then finish second last time out. And obviously, we're obsessed with that horse. Why wouldn't I be obsessed with this one? But I like that this one had a bullet drill and seems to be working quite well. And I just think Ron Spatz, 13% with first-time starters. Other trainers in here a little higher, but he still does a great job. And for me, it's really been the meet that he's been having. It's been very strong.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic meet. He just perked up. I mean, even during the championship meet, he was right there. All his horses ran exceptionally well. Number 6, Lightning Larry, stretching out to this distance today after chasing the pace, finishing second in his 4.5 furlong debut. 4, Jeff Engler, Romero Mirage atop. Only previous starter in the field. So you always got to take that into consideration. You know, horses, get that one run over the track really helps them.
And the winner, we have to say, was quite impressive. Drew off by over 5 lengths in the end. And, there was a lot of talk about that horse afterwards, maybe seeing this one in the Florida Sire Stakes. So I think the winner last time out respectable. And you've mentioned that was going 4.5. So a little bit longer might be part of a good thing for him.
Well, race number 6 this afternoon is a 1-mile allowance optional claimer for state-bred fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, or the optional tag of 12.5. We did have a couple of scratchers in this race. The 4 and the number 7 horse in here. And, we'll show your pick for a ticket first. I hope you use rest of the story somewhere.
No, you got me nervous when you showed me the Rainbow Six, because I was already like, uh-oh, this is not good. You mentioned there are a couple scratches in here. I just used 2 horses in here. The number 1, Pacific Princess, who I'm really intrigued by. Chantel's going to climb back aboard after piloting this one to a win, as well as the number 6, No Decaf, second time off the layoff. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Race 7, I go 3 deep. It's a 1-mile turf event. I think the number 1, Gypsy Wife, looks tough, but I also really like the number 8, Mercy Mercy, and the number 5, Copper. That's my price playing there at 6-1 morning line. Race 8, I thought about going too deep in here. I was pretty convinced that the number 2, Kalu, and the number 8, Front Loaded, was all I needed. But then there were some scratches in here. I decided to toss in the number 3, Silverly Enough. And then I think you like both of these horses in the nightcap. We're at a mile on the turf. Just went with my top 2 in here, the number 7, Express Pharaoh, and the number 9, Mr. Axel. I think it's kind of one of those should be in the winner's circle at the end of the day.
I get a little bit of a long shot in there with Big Frank, but we'll see how that plays out. But the rest of the story, as I've been alluding to and have as my single in the Rainbow Six, we're going to show this horse's performance last time out. We're going to pick it up, turn for home, when rest of the story looks for racing room in the race to number 1 that day. And just, one of those trips where you just got to try and find, if you listen to Pete calling the race, he's actually saying she's trying to find some room. And she does split horses in here and runs okay. And I just thought off that performance that she was going to move forward today. I thought that she was sort of hindered by being stuck behind horses. She showed that late run, but she was really good as a 2-year-old, and that's what I'm keying off of here. So, she was second, beating only a neck. That was in the mile in the 16th. $400,000, my dear girl, as a 2-year-old. She stretches out to the mile, which I really like. You saw the performance last time out. That was going 7. Eddie Pleaster Jr., Edgar Zayas atop this Daughter of Jess's Dream. I just think the mile is going to be perfect for this horse. After that performance last time out, I can understand having both No Decaf and Pacific Princess on your ticket. I had to take a shot somewhere because the rest of the races I thought were wide open, so that was how I looked at the Rainbow Six. Pray tell us about the number 6 horse in here, No Decaf.
So last time out, this one was kind of the pace setter, and this is what we've seen from this 3-year-old filly time and time again. We saw that at the end of the championship meet. She's part of the pace scenario. I think once again she's going to be. Last time out, she tired. Your top pick, rest of the story, did beat her. But the thing that I'm most intrigued by, and we're going to show a trainer stat for Luis Ramirez, is just how he preps his horses second off the layoff. I look specifically in the last 45 to 180 days, second off the past 3 years, and 8 for 31, 26%, 45% in the money with a $3.44 ROI. So a nice ROI there. And I just think this horse needed a race. I mean, if you kind of look at her other races, she's actually been able to close from off the pace. I think she's more comfortable on the front end. The biggest thing for her is going to be the mile distance. It's going to be the stretch out, because the furthest she's gone so far is 7 furlongs.
Well, that was a very good stat. Now you got me afraid about my single in here. Pacific Princess is bred to handle the distance. She's a Daughter of Perspective, stretches out. As you mentioned, came back from Tampa, and she was pretty good. She defeated those starter optional claimers, going 6 for Roger Lauren. Chantel going for 2 in a row. Chantel having a really nice summer campaign.
It'll be interesting to see the pace scenario, because we look at rest of the story, has some early foot as well as the runner that I picked. Pacific Princess, though, probably just sitting off the pace and may get a good setup here on the stretch out. I think she should love the distance. If you look at her 2 of her 3 races this year, she's closed off the pace and still was kind of hitting her best stride late. So the connections are also ones to watch. I mean, Roger Lauren and Chantel, they've teamed up here. They're 2 for 6 so far at the meet.
We went back, and of course, we don't see the morning line or anything until we get to the track on that day. And number 5, Raspberry Ballet. Did I miss this horse totally as the morning line favorite? And I knew you had it in 3rd.
I don't necessarily agree with the horse being the morning line favorite. I thought this was kind of a wide open race in that sense, but I do think from a consistency angle, she's ran really well here in the past at Gulfstream Park. Her record is what kind of discourages me. She's 0 for 5 at the distance. She's constantly getting minor shares, and if you look at her record here, she's 7 for 9 in the money over the main track, but she has a lot of experience at the mile distance. But I don't know what you do with a horse that just hasn't proven it yet.
Well, I thought I was going to have an easy day as far as the late Rainbow Six went with race number 7, the 1 mile turf event for fillies at 3-year-olds or 4 and up winners of 3 in life. I thought Extravagant Rosie jumped off the page, but they scratched Extravagant Rosie, and I certainly moved up to the horse that you have on top, and that is number 1, Gypsy Wife.
When you just look at those last 4 races, you see a win, you see 2 back-to-back second-place finishes most recently. They were at the 12-5 level. This is now the second start for Peter Walder, which we know he does well second off the layoff and second off the claim. His big angle is first off the claim, but horses run well so far here at the mile distance. Has only attempted it twice on the turf course.
Well, number 8, Mercy Mercy, I know you have some interest stepping up to competition after drawing clear, defeated those 2 lifetime runners by really impressively by about 3 lengths. It's sort of a lateral move in here, especially with the scratch. I thought Extravagant Rosie, at least when I was handicapping, might have had the class edge over this field. But now with that horse out, I don't think 12-5 or 16 or 20 makes a difference here.
No, and you kind of look at through these horses and their races and what they've raced against. I think it's kind of all lined up, and I think, we kind of, when we look at our picks here between the horse, the number 2, Giovanna, and then the horse that I use, Mercy Mercy, I mean, all these horses just kind of, they're all the same in my opinion.
Yeah, Giovanna, as you mentioned, was solid in defeat. She returned from Tampa, and she rallied. She finished second. Oh, she was only 63-1 that day at this level of distance, and I just thought she was worth the flyer and the price. I originally had her 3rd on my ticket, trying to, get something to help my Trier Super. With the scratch of the number 7 horse in here, bumped her up to 2nd.
I didn't know what to do with her because I saw that great performance. It was, her first, big performance in a while here at Gulfstream Park because she was at Tampa. But I saw the odds, and it makes me wonder, was it a fluke? Is she really, doing well for the new connections? I didn't know what to do, so I didn't use her.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. That's the fun of this, and we'll go to race number 8 today, 6 furlongs allowance optional claimer. These are 3-year-olds and up. They can run for the tag of $25,000. Did have some scratches in here of the 4, 6, and 7. Didn't hurt me at all in this race because I thought front loaded all along was the one to be. Going to try and make it 2 in a row. She was good for Georgina Baxter first off the claim.
It was a huge performance after a layoff, too, as well. This horse they kind of sat on for a bit, and it ended up being a career best buyer of an 89, a decisive win, beat Whiskey Sunrise, who's in this spot again. I just think it was such a huge performance. Edwin Gonzalez back aboard makes this the one to beat, but we know I'm kind of biased. I always use Kalu, and I'm scared of Kalu, so I had to use that one as well.
Well, let's show you Kalu's last performance was sort of a heartbreaker. We're going to pick it up from the 8-pole home and just ran good enough to win in here. Just gets nailed late. It was just one of those Doc Amster, just giving her everything she could at 2-1, Kalu 4-1, and I thought she had it today and just got nailed at the wire. So one of these horse races coming back and just, she fought on bravely, but Doc Amster had the best of her that afternoon, so I think she's going to run. He's going to run exceptionally well, and they're calling him She's this afternoon for some reason. And you mentioned the number 9, Whiskey Sunrise, who I used, you didn't. Hoping to make amends after finishing second in front of Front Loaded. As the odds on choice last time, behind Front Loaded, I should say, was the odds on choice that day for Mike Yates, Jesus Rios, gelded son of Cajun Breeze. I think I picked that horse last time out, and that wasn't close, as you can see, by that 7.5 length victory by Front Loaded.
I feel like we always say Michael Yates and Cajun Breeze. Those 4 words always go together. I think if you look at Whiskey Sunrise, similar to Kalu, just loves it here over the main track. Neither of them have ever finished worse than second, and this one's had some breaks. You see some breaks between those races, had a 3-race kind of streak, then took a break, then took another break, but has always been right there, and maybe this is one that can step up second off the layoff, which is the angle Yates does well with, winning at 19% in kind of 31 to 60 days. 30% from a sample size of 56. So a lot of stats here, and I think you're going to get a better price on this one than the other 2.
Well, we'll see how it plays. What about the number 3, Silvery Enough in here? This horse, always a hard-knocking campaigner. Christian Torres will be in the saddle today.
It's Bob Hess, who's just been doing such great work here so far, 25%. You look at that last race, it was at the mile. Now going to cut back to 6 furlongs. I thought that was key because the race 2 back, where this one was second to Leddington, beaten by 3/4, I thought it was a huge race. For him, it was a career best in terms of numbers. So intrigued to see him on the cutback.
Well, we'll see how that is race number 8 plays out. That's first half of the late daily double. A final race on the Friday Twilight card is a mile on the turf. These are claimers 3-year-olds or 4 and up, non-winners of 2 in life. I'll kick it off with here with Big Frank, who's really popular in the claiming box. The gelding moves to the Mike Maker barn and goes to the turf. I thought a pair of well-meant second-place finishes on the dirt, including that maiden score a couple of starts back. Well-meant third against this level of competition, going a mile last time out. I just respect the connections, and I just thought, but Big Frank had a little bit of a price. Going to the turf today might be able, I think, 6-1 on the morning line or something like that.
Well, he's certainly intriguing off the last 3. He's been there kind of every step of the way. Last time out, I know he was favored, but I still think it was a good race from him. He was still kind of rallying throughout the mile distance, and now you mentioned the surface change. I didn't know what to do with that. I know Mike Maker does well dirt to turf, but when you kind of go into formulator, that's typically not first off the claim. Those don't necessarily go together. So I didn't use this one, but Edgar Zayas is climbing aboard, and him and Maker, they do well.
Yeah, I wanted to see how that would play out. Express Pharaoh is the horse that you have on top. Is back locally after following a respectable 4th place finish here at this level distance. Let's go back and show you that performance up at Tampa. We're going to pick it up top of the stretch to the wire. Express Pharaoh there out near the popcorn stand, rallies about 5 wide, closes to finish second, but was the 3-5 favorite that day.
He was heavily favored there, coming out of the $20,000 non-winners to 2 lifetime over to the 25 there at Tampa. So he finished second. It took him a while to kind of get straightened out. You could see his head was kind of cocked all the way down the stretch, but once he kind of poured it on late, it was a good performance. Never like seeing a horse go over there heavily favored and finish second or get beat, but has some experience here, and we mentioned Victor Barboza. I think this 1/3 off the layoff can improve.
Yeah, and he had an excuse there, getting par. He looks like he got, pushed out, as I said, wide last time out. Mr. Axel is going to stretch out slightly after surrendering that late lead to finish second as the favorite, going 7.5. That was a softened turf, listed as good. That's what this horse gets this afternoon.
Yeah, he seems to like it, especially you mentioned last time out. He did have the lead late and surrendered it as the favorite, but I thought it was a good performance overall. I always like seeing when a rider change, a horse steps up. Same rider staying aboard Edwin Gonzalez today. So we'll see if those connections can get their second win of the meet. But I think he's live, and he's 7-2. I'm curious to see what he'll go off at.
Yeah, and like Big Frank, I was just trying to get a little bit of a price because a horse has got some questions to answer about handling the turf course, like the connections, been running real good on the dirt. So just one of the reasons I used that one. So we'll go now to our ever popular lightning round here, and as we do each and every Friday when Ashley and I get back to racing, we like to show you what's going on with the jockeys and trainers. And the jockeys, of course, it's real close now. We mentioned that it would be throughout the summer meeting. We're going to flip that up there. Edgar Zayas 59, MCL 57, Edwin Gonzalez right there at 54. The top 3 guys are separated by just a few victories.
For the most part, they flip-flop. I know Edgar Zayas, he's kind of been at the top for a little bit, but Aramillo kind of stepping up, Gonzalez, they both have these multi-win days all the time. But, even Miguel Vasquez, he's had a great meet so far, 44 wins.
I really like the way Miguel rides. He's got some really live horses. I just finished handicapping Sundays, and he's got about 4 or 5 horses that I think can win. So we'll see how it plays out. Now, Paco Lopez, we're not talking about him. He left to go to New Jersey, but he's still up there with 41. Paco, a lot of fun. And so that is how we see the jockeys. Now, the trainers, we could skip over this, but we won't. We got to show you here. And it's just amazing what Saffie Joseph is doing. Every week he comes up and he's got more. And, Mark Cassidy holding on gamely in second, but Saffie Joseph Jr., 40 wins. I think it's a 30% win average or thereabouts.
When you show the trainer stats, that's almost like when you show your Rainbow Six ticket and ask me how much it costs. It's usually the same. And with this, Saffie's just been on a roll. And you see the other trainers, there's still this battle for underneath. I know Mark's kind of had the edge, especially with the 2-year-olds, but Carlos David, he's picked up a couple wins, as well as Jorge Delgado. So the race is on for, I guess, second place at this point.
Yeah, and I like the way Carlos Avila's barn has been going. He's been winning a bunch of races in here. So we have to show the jocks. We got to show the trainers, too. We'll see. Maybe they'll close the gap. But it looks like Saffie's in a pretty good spot. I want to tell you about our sister track. Besides having a $1 million jackpot guarantee in the Rainbow Six this afternoon, they're going to extend the meet at Pimlico until August. So they have to do that because Laurel is still working on that track.
It's crazy to think Pimlico's still racing in August, but I love Pimlico. I know you love going there for the Preakness, and so it'll be interesting to see how that meet plays out now that it's not at Laurel, it's at Pimlico.
Yeah, and they just wanted to make sure that this track at Laurel, they're doing an incredible amount of work on it to get it good. So So Laurel and, of course, Preakness in just a couple of years. I mean, Pimlico in just a couple of this next year. They're going to knock down part of the grandstand and rebuild the whole place. Great place, good people there in Maryland. Talking about Chantal, I know you picked her in a race today. She notched her 11th victory, 1100 victory, I should say, in Saturday's third race. Let's go back and show you that stretch run. She did it in a big price in this day, so you see her coming up there with the, running it with the number 2 horse in there. Anonymous Source gets up and wins it and gives her 1100 career victory.
She had a milestone, Edwin Gonzalez did, and they're both jockeys that decided to kind of change where they usually ride in the winter. She made the move here down to South Florida. It's been very successful. Her business is good. I feel like I can get her on some favorites, but you saw there, get her on a 16-1 shot too. So I think she's been doing great work here, and interesting to see her next milestone.
Yeah, I love the way she's riding the turf course too. She seems to have her horses in a great place to win it. Once again, this is a Safi intensive show today, and Safi Joseph Jr. gets his 500th career victory in the United States. Had some wins over there in Barbados.
I didn't know it was his 500th win, but he's so active on social media, like a lot of these trainers are, and I started scrolling, and that's what he tweeted out. So I made sure I fact-checked it with Equibase, and he's up to 500, and, he's just the last couple of years that he's had, they've been tremendous. We look at his horses recently with Grade 1 winners, Drain the Clock, and all this, so he's doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, you would say, he wins all his races in the summer at Gulfstream. Not the case. He's taking him to the woodshed up there in New York with those, stakes wins. He's doing incredibly well. So congratulations to his whole team. They do a great job in here. And that's how we see the lightning round today. We have about 24 minutes before we turn it over to Mr. Peter Aiello. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. See you later.